All right. So I decided that, with airplanes, with the C-130, I want to talk more about the aspects of this aircraft that I am personally familiar with. And so that means focusing on, some of the military applications and in particular looking at, how is it used for airborne operations where paratroopers are jumping out of an aircraft and having a parachute. And in doing this, what we want to do is look at how can Wikipedia help us with this and what advanced types of search tools do we need for this, and also what are some of the limitations here. So what I did is I've gone down to the military tab here with the C-130s, and I want to point out that over here, what we're seeing is a C-130 on the deck of an aircraft carrier. This is something that you will never see in real life because they tried it once. They did several takeoffs and landings, and they decided it wasn't worth doing. Okay, and this is one of those interesting stories. This is it took place. They were flying off the carrier Forrestal in 1963. It's an example of the type of interesting story that if you wanted to really write about this aircraft and you wanted to draw in the reader's interest, you might talk about this as, oh wow, did you hear about the time they landed a cargo plane on an aircraft carrier? Now, I myself would uh, I would probably not write about that because my experience with the C-130 was when I was in the U.S. Army. So we flew on Air Force C-130s. We jumped out of them, and no aircraft carriers were involved. But something I want to point out here, and this is one of the shortcomings with Wikipedia, is I'm down here in the military tab, and as I scroll down, I am not seeing anything about paratroopers jumping out of C-130s. Okay, we've got let's see. So we've got operations with them, more operations. A lot of interesting images. So, for example, here's one of the battles in Vietnam. C-130s were used quite a bit in Vietnam. And so one of the things that you want to do is figure out what it is you're focusing on. Now, I myself, I want to look at airborne operations. I want to look at paratroopers. And just following what Wikipedia shows will not cover that. And so what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to go ahead and type in paratroopers. Okay. And right away, something comes up. But notice that, this is under the background and requirements. This is near the start of the article. This is not under the military portions. Okay. And, it's interesting here. They talk about needs a capacity of 92 passengers, 72 combat troops, or 64 paratroopers. Okay. That 64 paratroopers is actually in an Army cadence that we used to sing in basic training, and I had no idea what it meant until 2 years later when I went to airborne school. Okay. Uh, so the C-130, from this research, we're finding out that it was specifically designed for these types of operations that I was involved in. And if we keep looking a little bit further, and one of the things here is that as I'm looking at this, I'm not seeing any sources listed. Okay, Wikipedia, when they have sources, they'll have the little number next to it, like this, right there. Okay, so there's some of that for the design phase, but I'm not seeing any for the parachute phase, paratroopers. Let's look for another one. Okay, so there's one where they had Belgian paratroopers rescue hostages. This one does have a source. So if I wanted to look up that, I have a source to go to. All right, but notice that I had to use the find up here, and that's Control-F to do that. All right. Now that we've done that, in the next video, I'm going to talk about actually going through the sources and surveying them.